Quad grouping made up of the US, Japan, Australia and India expressing concern without naming countries over confrontation in the East and South China Seas during key talks in Tokyo. More insight, we're joined by Assistant Professor Yongwook Ryu. He's from the Department of International Politics at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. Now, thanks for joining us, Professor Ryu. Now, we've got the Quad today coming after Sunday's meeting 2+2 of US and Japanese defense and foreign ministers. There is some contrast in their publicly released statements. Did that strike you? Was that evident to you?
Sure. So the 2+2 joint statement between US and Japan did not mention or blame any or mention and blamed particular countries such as China and the USA, China and Russia, whereas the Quad statement deliberately did not single out any country or mention particular names.
And there's reason for that, is there not?
Sure. I think there are mainly two reasons. So one, the first and the obvious reason is the presence of India in the Quad. So even though the Quad countries share similar perspective on regional strategic environment, I think the level of commitment to carry out these norms and shared views may not be the same. And as we all know that India is a key member of the Quad, but at the same time, it's also a member of the BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, of which China and Russia are also members. So therefore, India is careful not to raise particular names in the Quad meetings. The second reason has to do with the nature of these two meetings, right? So the Quad is mainly about enhancing cooperation among the four countries with the hope of providing public goods, whereas the US-Japan 2+2 meetings is about upgrading the US-Japan security alliance, and therefore they are more free to identify specific threats, and therefore they are more free to mention specific countries. And this is the main reason why we see the key difference between the Quad joint statement and then the 2+2 joint statement.
Right, but one thing that they did have in common was neither was reluctant, I suppose, or holding back when it came to naming North Korea's weapons testing policy. So in that, there is less hesitance. Why would that be so?
Well, obviously, once again, I think the India factor is critical. So North Korea is not part of the BRICS or Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and therefore India is less concerned with mentioning North Korea, whereas it's more concerned with specific mentioning China and Russia. I do want to add that there was one specific area in the Quad statement, and both in the Quad statement and the 2+2 joint statement, which jointly mentioned to be a critical issue for the region, and that has to do with maritime security. And here, the Quad statement was decisively emphasizing the importance of upholding the free, open, and rules-based maritime order, particularly the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And the same kind of attitude appeared in the 2+2 joint statement. Once again, the key difference was that the 2+2 joint statement specifically mentioned China and Chinese aggressive behavior in the East and South China Sea, and called for joint opposition, collective opposition to any attempt at unilateral or forceful change of the status quo.
Well, of course, another thing that the 2+2 statement came out of that meeting was the mention, I suppose, the specific mention and the linking of Russia and North Korea, and I suppose potentially China as well. Increasingly, we're seeing over the last few months, certainly, what some analysts have called an axis of upheaval or an axis of resistance. So on the one hand, you've got the Quad trilaterals forming. On the other hand, you've got North Korea, China and Russia increasingly echoing similar sentiments publicly and taking each other's side when it comes to foreign policy. Is that a plus or minus in terms of security and peace in the Indo-Pacific and, I suppose, globally?
Every country is trying to do what they think would be the best to enhance their own national security as well as regional security. However, the specific actions taken by both camps, and here I'm not blaming any one side. So when the U.S. Gathers its partners and allies and hold in-group meetings, right, trying to upgrade their defense cooperation, security cooperation, such action will automatically invite similar countermeasures from the Chinese side, where Russia and North Korea and some other countries that have difficult political relationship with the USA gather together and adopt their own measures to enhance their own collective defense and security cooperation. So this entire dynamics creates what we call the security dilemma. Each side is taking specific measures and actions to enhance their own security, but overall, in the end, no one's security gets improved. I think if our objective is to improve peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, what we need more is, in addition to these in-group or within-group meetings, we need to have more cross-group meetings. So in other words, the leaders of both camps, the US and China, need to meet more often and exchange their views and try to come to agreement and narrow their differences.
Thanks for joining us this evening, Assistant Professor Yongwook Ryu from the Department of International Politics at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. Thank you.